very brave. I did not dress appropriately for the weather. If you were in this room, it's pure chaos leading up until 3, 2, 1, and Alex says go. But I'm trying to hype myself up because I'm a very tired little girl.
Oh.
Because we're still recovering from daylight savings.
Oh, yeah.
And like just general parenting and just general life. Life is hard and tiring, right? So I'm trying to hype myself up. Come in here, sub-zero temperatures.
Quite literally.
Quite literally. So Alex is hyping me up, and his exact to describe me is she's like the freeze-dried sour stuff.
Yep.
And I still try and process that.
Just accept it. Move on.
I don't have a choice.
Yep.
Like, if I don't accept, what do? What? I'm being really brave, and we should all remember that. Welcome to the Medicare Cafe, my internet friends, and the chaos that is ensuing for St. Patrick's Day.
Woo, I wore green.
I did too. Like literally.
I remembered my green.
I'm really proud of you.
Uh-huh.
You're growing.
I always forget color, like holidays or color days, awareness days.
Did your daughter do like a photo shoot? She always does like the themed photo shoots.
We talked about doing it for Boone, but we didn't do it this year. We have an amazing St. Patty's Day photo shoot from when she was a baby in the green milk, and that was hilarious. When she was in the bowl of cereal, you remember.
I know, but just hearing green milk.
Deal with it.
Okay, I don't have a choice. Again, no choices with me having to deal with things.
That's what we're going to do.
Happy St. Patrick's Day, Mary. Happy St. Patrick's Day. I would love to hear from you guys. First of all, if you're watching the show live, or if you're watching it live, feel free to use the live chat feature. We are watching this, or you can always text me. That is my real phone number, so text me at any time. Even if you're watching the recorded version of this, I had a really nice person, Bob, text me last week, and I messaged him back and stuff like that. He goes, "Oh, you were true to your word." I'm like, it's kind of like one of my favorite traits is that I don't just blatantly lie and I follow through. So that is me. It has been proven by Bob. So if you guys have any other questions, please reach out to me. Happy to hear from you. I was going to do some like St. Patrick's Day trivia.
I'll fail. Go for it.
I didn't. That's why I said I was going to. Did not follow through. So immediately when I said I follow through with things and do what I say, immediately no, I didn't.
Proven by Bob.
Proof. We still have Bob, though. Guys, today's Medicare Cafe, we are going to be talking about what I wanted to do was bring in some green beer and some sparkly hats and call it a day. But it is, in fact, only 10 a.m. Why are you looking at me like that?
Because you didn't do that?
I was going to say, this is a great idea.
Yeah, where is it?
I just have
I have water.
Me too.
Yeah.
This is just a long day. I did have Irish coffee. Just kidding. For legal purposes, I did not. What we're going to talk about today, guys, is going to be I'm chaotic energy and a ball. Freeze-dried sour stuff is the energy I'm bringing. What I wanted to talk about today to kind of calm down my chaotic nature, I want to talk about I have 7 tips for closing, right? So we've been talking about like the 8-step selling program. If you haven't watched that episode, please do so. As a few weeks ago at this point. We've also talked about best tips to fact find. What I want to talk about today is going to be tips for closing and coffee, which for a coffee themed show, we really haven't hit on coffees for closers near enough.
Not enough.
And that's on me.
Well,
kind of you. Yeah, that's right. So what we're going to talk about today is going to be 7 tips to help you in the closing process of your appointment. So just to keep in mind, so when does the closing actually happen? This is going to start as tip number 1. Do not try to close. And by close, I mean like ask for the sale. Like closing is like to the point where you're in the appointment where it's like, you want some of my insurance or not? Step number 1, you do not even try to close until you've presented the full package. Right. So don't try to close on the Med Sup and then go back and close on a cancer implant plan or Medicare Advantage with a hospital indemnity. You need to close on the package. And if you can't close on the package because maybe they don't see the need for the entire package, that's okay. Then you go from there. But don't try to close individual products. Close on the entire package.
Yeah, that makes sense because I mean, some of the biggest pushback I get whenever I'm talking to agents about like the complementary products is like, I don't want to sound too salesy. It's well, if your pitch is salesy and it's transactional of like, okay, we finished this, now let's do this, now let's do this, and you're adding on products, like, yeah, you're feeling like you're selling them so many different things versus
Yes.
that package of protection.
Yes. Yeah, 100 package of protection. That's like what coined phrase by Galen,
Yep.
Queen of the Bundle. But it is true. It's you're presenting them this full package. Now you can alternate or like change the package once it's presented and add this, take off that. But if you're presenting it as individual products, then it does probably seem like you're just doing kind of these add-ons, these ones and twosies one at a time. So don't do that.
Don't do it.
The second tip I have for closing a sale is going to be closing throughout the processes in small steps versus trying to make the close in one big leap. What can seem kind of confusing, especially if you do follow an 8-step selling process like what we preach, the closing part actually comes after you present the solutions and before you fill out the application. Don't be closing while filling out the application. There is a step in there. But again, what I call them is check-ins. When you're performing these check-ins throughout the appointment, what you're actually doing is just doing miniature closes. And so you're using phrases like, does that make sense? And you're describing how something works. Does that make sense to you? Another one is like, so does this solve the problem that you mentioned earlier? Because if you're watching the fact finding, if you haven't watched fact find, go back to last week. You don't need a time machine. You just need the YouTube gods. Go back to last week's episode. Learn how to fact find to where it makes sense when you're presenting these products. But if you're talking to somebody and you fact found correctly, then it's using phrases like, now would that solve the problem that we talked about earlier? Doing these little miniature micro check-ins. So when they're used to saying, yes, that would solve it, then they're more likely to say, if they're with you the entire way, then it's likely they're going to agree at the sales part.
Yeah, like little soft closes throughout the entire process.
Mm-hmm. Little check-ins.
Little check-ins.
How you doing?
Because it makes total sense where if they're not following what you're saying at the end, they're way more likely to say like, it doesn't really make sense to me. And you can't.
Where did I lose you?
Like it's so much harder than backpedal and be like, well, let's talk about it again.
Yeah, to start back from the beginning because you don't know at what point did it no longer make sense, right? So we'll get to that. I want to do another one that's like overcoming a leprechaun and a snake. I think he's talking about you. You're both.
I'm both.
Ryan, that's rude. But again, if you're doing it throughout the whole process, then when it comes to the part where it's overcoming objections, which we will talk about at some point on the cafe, you know exactly what objection you're overcoming versus trying to figure out, okay, now I have to start all the way at the beginning.
I like that one.
Little check-ins, little mini closes, little check-ins throughout the appointment. My third tip is going to be hold on. This weekend I was at this benefit.
Did it?
It's like it's hard.
I was at job.
I was at this benefit for my local community. They were trying to do stuff at the fairgrounds. So we sat at this table. It was a nice shrimp boil that we were doing. Ooh. Well, one of the guys there kept getting his nose tickled from like the spiciness of the shrimp. Like just nose tickled. Like he kept having to sneeze. I guess that's the adult way of saying that. Anyways, his sneeze was outrageous. It was like it had like rolling R like and it was just like crazy and he kept doing it and I was like, your sneeze is Spanish, like you have a Spanish sneeze. Anyways,
can you one time play it out for us?
I could never. It would be a disservice.
Give me your best shot now. 3, 2, 1, go.
Love the enthusiasm. Great for closing. Great for closing, which brings me to my next point. There is kindness in closing.
Yeah.
There is kindness in closing. And what I mean by that is that a lot of agents will go through their entire process and they'll never get a yes or a no. They'll get like a let me talk to this, like let me think it over, I'm going to go home. And a lot of times when you go through this entire sales process, you are in the driver's seat, right? Especially if you're doing it correctly, you're in the driver's seat. It is your responsibility to tell your client that it's time for a decision.
Yeah.
So you should be leading their transition into it's a very clear step and this should be a yes or no at that point. And throughout the appointment, you should be asking open-ended questions. You should be getting more of them talking. At this point in the appointment, you make it very clear that it is decision-making time and it leads to a yes or no question. So some of the transitions that I really like to help me transition into the close, into the actual close are going to be things like saying one of the ones actually was one that Mike Torna came up with years ago. I've clung on to it. Is saying things like, My clients have done this route. So if I'm talking to you, Clayton, I'm going to sell you a Medicare supplement with a cancer insurance policy. I've had lots of clients that were in similar situations like what you're in right now. This package worked for them. And it could all, and so I think we should try it. I think this is something that I think would really work for you. I can have it start the 1st of next month. What do you say?
Yes.
Yes,
I like it.
Yeah. But it's telling them exactly, one, I like that close because it's saying I have people I've done this before.
It's not new.
I am an expert. There are people, not the same situation, because people like to feel unique, but they like to feel like they belong in a group, right? They want to feel unique. They don't want to be the first. So I've had people in very similar situations to you. This package has worked for them. Right. I think this is the package that would work for you. What do you say? And then you're waiting for the yes or no. So leading them, transitioning them to it's very clear that we are out of the education portion and into the decision-making time.
Yeah, like, are you going to almost follow, like, what has been successful before?
Yes.
That's why I like that close a
lot. Yes. And don't make it a big deal, because if you're uncomfortable, a lot of people, like, sales, I'll say this, where insurance sales, especially Medicare, people don't want to be salesy. You ask an old school salesperson, they love the close part. Like, that's there. When you're more in that advisor role, the close can seem really uncomfortable because it's a vulnerable point where you're kind of giving up control and the next hinges on their response. So it can't seem, so if you're uncomfortable with asking for the close, with asking a very direct question, is this a yes or no? If you're uncomfortable with that, then it makes it a bigger deal than what it is. It's not that big of a deal. It's just asking for the decision. So a lot of times people shy away from actually being very specific of, is this a yes or a no? I need an answer.
Well, so many of our Medicare agents really are educators, and like, we love that.
Yes.
But there's a time where you have to become the salesperson, and it's right there. It's the close to get them to agree to the thing you educated them on, which is the best thing for them.
Yes.
It's like like you're saying, there's kindness. You're helping them get to the point, like, I know this is the best decision for you. I can't sign the paperwork for you.
There's like, it's uncomfortable to be more directive, right? To tell them what the next step is, to tell them what to do. I think there's kindness in the truth. Sometimes people don't want to hear things, but there's kindness in the truth and there's kindness and clarity. And I think that is our job to kind of drive the conversation to make that so. So again, that's tip number 3. So this guy was just Tip number 4 is a close that I actually learned. It was actually from my father-in-law. It's more of an old school hard sales kind of technique.
Okay.
But I've liked the way that it's been adapted to be less manipulative, because sales gets a bad rep for being manipulative.
Yeah, right.
So I call it the coin flip.
Okay.
Right? So think about this. Whenever you and your spouse or your best friend, or maybe me, if we're talking or trying to figure out, hey, where do you want to go eat? And it's just like, do you want to go here? Or do you want to go there? And they're always like, I don't know what I want. Both sounds good. What I call is the coin flip technique. And what that is you say, okay, heads, we're going to go this place. Tails, you're going to go this place. When you flip the coin and it lands on heads, are you happy about that response, or are you disappointed by that response? It's the coin flip, because when you're taking it away and you have some sort of feel about that, something that you really didn't think you really cared about, sometimes taking it away really emphasizes your true feelings on that, right? Yeah. So they call it, traditionally it was called like the takeaway close. I call it the coin flip. And what it is supposed to be like, you kind of start taking it back or showing that there's a potential that they can't get this for whatever reason. It's really easy to do that in insurance because they have to, in most cases, health qualify. Yeah. So when you talk about the plan, they still kind of seem on the fence. Maybe they're not quite sure. Maybe they don't see the urgency. Typically, this is really good when people don't see the urgency. So more for like a cancer insurance and things like that. Yeah. If you're talking to somebody who's 65 years old and they say, well, my coverage is going to start in 3 months. Let's let my cancer insurance start in 3 months versus starting today. You do the coin flip. And what you say is, well, before we even go down, before I even talk about like pricing and stuff, let's just make sure you can actually qualify for this. You're asking them. Okay. And what I like about that one, it kind of lets them like that little hiccup of like, oh, what do you mean I might not be able to get that? It helps them actually gauge, adds a little bit of urgency, and helps them gauge to see if this is something they actually want. Or like, on the other hand, no, if I can't get it, whatever, I'm really okay with that. It really kind of helps you gauge what that person's actually feeling. And so then it also helps set it up like, why are you going to be asking them health questions? So when you're asking about finances, when you're asking about health conditions and things like that, you're letting them know, hey, I'm going to make sure that you could even qualify for that. So it makes it much more eager to be a part of the underwriting process and answer those questions.
And most of the time in like your experience or what you're talking to agents with, like, presenting that I'm about to have to ask you some health questions, that's not a deterrent, right?
No, especially if you did set the appointment correctly. Again, if you haven't watched the 8-step selling process, please do so. But when you're doing your warm opening or you're opening up for the appointment, your warm up, you've already set the expectations early before you even were close to that you're going to be asking health questions. So it just is kind of reinforcing the appointment process. So when it comes to the point where you're asking those health questions, it's not coming out of left field. People are much more willing to engage in that because they expected it to happen.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Like I've never really understood why. I guess I'm a very open person. I've always fully discussed all of with the stranger on the street. I'll tell them everything about my life.
Yes, that's how we met.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
So like I've never understood the like viewpoint of like I don't want to talk about my health when we're doing health insurance.
Yes, I would say this. I have been in situations where like people will make their spouse leave to talk about their weight. Like especially with something like, I mean, like people are very private about height and weight. That's happened. And a lot of times it's finances. Like I am anxious to talk about something that's finances. I think it's important, something that's very personable. Because you can look at a lot, this is probably controversial. Please don't cancel me. But a lot of times you can tell health by looking at somebody, like the state of their health, right? No, I think I'm going to get canceled for that. Please don't cancel me. I don't know why. I have anxiety now. Brian, don't cancel me. But
I don't think he has the authority to do that.
Haha, Brian. Foiled again.
Sullivan
can cancel me, yes. But it's all about, again, when you're asking finances, people can be really personal about that. You're asking somebody if they can afford something. You're asking somebody, kind of what their financial situation is, and people have a lot of pride about that. So it does kind of grease the wheels. And also, like, when you're getting to the financial stuff, it's like, oh, you're getting into, like, impactful information. Like you're pushing or moving along the appointment process by asking these questions, and that's when you start to see walls kind of come up. So when you set the expectation that this is gonna thin ice, Olivia, sorry Sully, it sets the expectation. Anyways, okay, we're gonna move on. But anyways, that's what I like. The takeaway close. I think that's what the one we were on.
Yeah,
it helps you lead into. The coin flip helps you lead into those questions, and absolutely helps, and truly it just creates urgency of like, oh, like I didn't know if I want this, but now that I know that I can't have it, I really want it, right?
Yeah.
So it just kind of helps create that urgency. The fifth one,
the food options of just like when me and my wife were talking about like, oh, do you want McDonald's or Taco Bell? Well, it doesn't really matter. Like, okay, well, I kind of want McDonald's. Well, I was thinking more Taco Bell. Like, come on.
But until you take it away, I'm the same way. Like, I will do it to myself.
Just tell me what you want the first time.
I wish I knew. Leave it up to the coin. The coin knows all. The coin knows all. Number 5. 5th tip out of 7. Just be prepared to overcome objections. I think that's one. Smart. If you get a 100%, you never have an objection. You have a 100% closing ratio. You are not an agent. You're an order taker, and Google will replace you. Our job is the no's. Our job is to educate. Not everybody's going to want every single risk, or not everybody's going to be afraid of every single risk. It's okay to hear a no. But when you do hear a no, it's a no right now, not a no forever. So make sure you're continually having that conversation. But what I like about overcoming the objections, my number one thing is to make sure you're truly understanding what they are objecting to. And and we'll do a whole episode about how to overcome objections, but one question I love, and I don't have time to get into it, but it's my conspiracy theory, how to help somebody or how to understand somebody's conspiracy theory. But you're asking the question, would you say yes if?
Okay.
Right?
So we need to play this tape forward with Santa Claus one day, but okay.
Play this tape forward with Santa Claus?
Well, Santa Claus is real, so.
Yeah. I'm not questioning that.
Okay, go ahead.
I have follow. It's St. Patrick's Day. Honestly.
Santa Claus is every holiday. I just wears green today.
So it says, So would you say yes if helps you actually identify what that objection is? So if we're going through this and you're like, like, well, again, I harp on cancer insurance because it is the number one undersold number one undersold policy, and I can't think of a person that shouldn't have a cancer insurance policy, the people in this room included. So truly. So if I'm trying to sell you a policy and you say, you know what, like, yeah, it's not, because you're not gonna be like, nah, big trick, not today. You're not gonna do that. You're gonna usually come up with an excuse. You know what? Let's talk about that next time. I don't think I need that today. Like, because you're not, very rarely will the first objection to that be what the real objection is. So you
ask, please stop asking me about it.
Exactly. It's, I don't want to tell you no, you're a really nice person. It's just like the human nature. It's it's easier for me to be avoidant of it than it is to tell you the real reason I'm saying no. So you have to. That's what my therapist says. So that's why it's really important that you ask questions that are not, what's the word, confrontational, because they're not saying no to me. They're saying no to something about this package I'm presenting them. So if I'm saying you're saying, I don't know, I don't think I need all of that. Okay, well tell me what product that out of this package has you a little hesitant. Well, it's the cancer insurance product, it's the dental vision hearing, whatever that is. So let me ask you this. So let's talk about that. Would you say yes to this product if it provided you a bigger check in the mail? Like, what is that something that you would say yes to? No, I think the amount's fine. I just don't think I need that. Okay, I understand. Would you say yes to this if it actually cost you less per month?
Okay, I like these questions.
Yeah. Would you say yes if it was going to cost you less? I'd be probably closer to yes. Okay, well then I know the premium is an issue. Let's go back and well we can change that. We can adjust that, Clayton. Let's go back here. If we do 5,000 less or 2,000 less, this is what that premium. If this premium was like that, would you say yes? So asking the question, would you say yes if, helps you identify what the real objection is. So whenever you're in the closing process, make sure that you're asking these questions and just be ready for the objection. Now, don't do the sleazy, I have to hear no 7 times before I move on. Because here's what happens. They'll say yes because they're over it, and then they'll cancel the policy the first time that bill comes. Yeah. I hate that.
Yeah,
that's really not a good look. It's not a good look. Really find out what is the true objection.
I like that one. I like that one for like.
You seem surprised that you like my content.
Well, usually,
okay, come on.
4 out of 7 I'll like.
Okay. Well, right now we're at 5. Am I 5 for 5 on what you like?
We'll see.
We'll come back to that. Would you say yes if I had consulted you?
Yeah.
Okay. So number 6, my 6 out of 7 tips. Sell the outcome, not the product. Right? Okay. We also call this focus on the benefits, not the features. So focusing on the product, again, I'll come back to a cancer insurance plan. It'd be like, focusing on, hey, well, if you get diagnosed with cancer, you're going to get a check in the mail for $15,000. If you also get a benefit to where you're going to get genetic testing to understand that. That's selling the features. That's talking about the features of the plan. That's closing based on features. If you're closing based on outcome, that's the benefits. Clayton, if you get diagnosed with cancer, this is a bad example because you've done that twice now. 2 for 2.
2-0, baby.
2-0. Clayton, if you get diagnosed with cancer for a 3rd time, if that ends up happening, you're going to get a check in the mail. So that's going to help you pay for trips back and forth to Mayo. It's going to help you put gas in the car. It's going to help you if you need to have childcare. You're going to have money for that. Another example would be like a nursing home care. Clayton, if something happens to you, let's just say like you fall, which you also did that. You're my perfect little case study.
Now these are starting to feel like strays.
This is personal. Clayton,
you could fall down some stairs and break your ankle. You could do this.
While battling cancer. Just hypothetically, this could happen. But let's just say, Clayton, something happens. You and I both know if something happens like that, you're not staying 6 months in the hospital recovering from a broken ankle. You're gonna need physical therapy, occupational therapy. You're gonna need rides back and forth to that. So if this plan, just as a reminder, with this plan, you're going to be receiving money in the mail to help pay for some of that stuff. Does insurance cover it? Yes, to an extent, but there's a lot of costs that come out of pocket whenever you're going through things like this again. So making sure that you're covered holistically, that's what this plan's going to do. Again, you're closing based off of the reasons to have the plan, not talking about what that plan, the features of that plan. Listen, Clayton had a hard year. Clayton did have a hard year.
Was not for
We don't
me.
know her. We don't know her. So again, selling on the outcome, talking about and closing on the outcome, not talking about the specific features of the plan. Because another thing is people don't think that they're going to get cancer. People don't think that they're going to fall down the stairs. People don't think that these things are going to happen to them. And so when you're talking about the features of that, it's not real to them. When you start talking about what would happen if, and you paint this story, it starts becoming more real, more of a possibility. So keep that in mind with the closing. How you doing, Clayton? You doing all right?
I've been better.
Yeah, you doing? Okay.
I had a son last year. That was good.
Okay, yeah, we did have a son last year. We love our boon.
We didn't have a son.
This is a collective effort.
I had a son.
Touche. I don't want to get the rumor mill started. Step number 7 is what I'm going to do.
Number 6 was attacking me. Like in notes. This is where I'll roast Clayton for having cancer and falling.
To be fair, it wasn't roasting you, just giving the perfect example of like paint the story of.
And I had insurance for both of those things.
Yeah, because you're a good, smart guy. Taking care of your family and your health. Proud of you, Clayton.
I did get some good checks last
Heck
year.
Yeah. Heck yeah. Insurance. Step 7 is what I'm going to practice, and that's shut up. Stop talking. People talk themselves past the close all the time.
That's a really good one, Olivia. Whenever you're talking about hardships and things with insurance, sometimes you paint the picture and then you just say,
shut up. Do you want it? Do you want it? I've done this. Shocking. I know. I've talked myself out of so many closes because silence is so uncomfortable. Dead air is so uncomfortable. And when you're talking, you're not giving them the space to think about it. Yeah. And you're not putting giving the ball in their court, right? And so I've done this so much. It was early in my career. I was working with this agent. He literally just called me up because he wanted, it was like a home health care or some sort of contract. And he's just like, hey, I want this, wanted to talk to you about it. I said, okay, perfect. When I did, talked a whole bunch.
Let me tell you everything
about this product. And he was a jerk, but I did learn something from him. And he said, Olivia, if you would shut up, you would have time to send me the contract. And I was like, noted. Like, rude, but he was like, I'm going to hang up this phone and talk to somebody else. Like,
I just want this.
Understood. So it's just like understanding it when is it appropriate and find comfort in silence. Sound of silence. Just like, anyways.
I think both of us struggle with the old silence thing.
I'm gonna practice every day.
Okay, let's do it. Ready?
No,
1, 2,
absolutely not.
3.
My demons. No, thank you to the exposure therapy. I could absolutely not. Clayton, how you doing? How you doing this? How you doing? How's your health? How's your leg? Your ankles particular.
Both are horrible.
Okay.
Back hurts, my ankle hurts.
Those are my 7 tips to help you with your close. Coffee is for closers. ABC, always be closing. But don't, because that's cheesy. Well, kind of, because you're doing miniature closes throughout the entire appointment. So ABC in a small way throughout the entire appointment. So as a review, my 7 tips to help you close. Number 1, don't close until you present the full package. 2, do miniature closes or check-ins throughout the entirety of the appointment. 3, kindness and clarity. Be very clear. Ask for the close. Ask for the sale. Make it very clear it is their time to make a decision. Number 4, do the takeaway close. Do the coin flip, making sure helping to gauge the urgency behind this. Number 5, be prepared to overcome objections. Do not take it personally. Do not take it with, I said authority, but I mean, what's it called? Confrontation.
Yes.
Don't be confrontational about it. Number 6, sell the outcome, not the product. Number 7, shut your mouth.
I can't tell you how many times during this I was tempted just to do that.
To do what?
Just
turn
to shut
it off.
Your
It is at 10%.
Well, so I had to do that there of just like, I wanted to do that while you were reading.
I understand. Long-time listener, every-time caller, Terry. I love Terry. Terry, how long after closing should you bring up appointment for life insurance? Happy St. Patrick's Day.
After?
So that's so here's the question. So the question a question. What Terry is asking is, at what point should you bring up an additional product after closing? So life insurance is a tricky one because life insurance you cannot do during a Medicare Advantage or PDP appointment. Okay. So like as we said, with any other product that is a health-based product, there isn't an after. You're doing the entire package of protection. You're presenting it and closing it as one unit versus a cancer insurance plan, a Medicare Advantage plan, and a hospital indemnity. Like you're doing it full as a package. What I always recommend is whenever you're trying to, number one, great question, Terry. I'd love to tell you. Never let a client leave without having the next appointment set. Dentists don't let us leave their office until they have 6 months from now your next appointment. So I don't care. Yeah. I don't care if the appointment isn't in for another 12 months. If you're going to do their annual review during AEP, I don't care. You set that appointment before they leave. Now, if you're wanting to do something, and there's a whole science behind that. I don't have time for it. I'll talk about it later in another episode. But trust me. With the life insurance one, the way that I would represent this is saying, okay, Clayton, we're having a conversation. You're my client now, and I love that for you. Mm-hmm. Thank you. You're very welcome. I'm the best. As we're wrapping up, I'll say, Clayton, today, as you know, you signed that scope of appointment in the beginning. What we talked about today were government-sponsored plans, so they're going to have a few weird rules about what I can and cannot do in an appointment. Now, you're going to leave here today, and I want to let you know that there are some things that I could not talk to you about that in this appointment. Some of it's going to be like annuity stuff, like how your retirement savings, and it's going to be life insurance. These are things, I'm a holistic agent. I take care of my clients. If I don't talk to you about these things, I'm not doing my job right. So if you have time in a week or 2 weeks, whatever makes me work, I want to do it within the month because these are pretty urgent things. Let's go ahead and set up an appointment. We can do it over the phone if that's easier for you. This one I want to do face-to-face, but we can do that one over the phone. That's fine. But I want to make sure I can talk to you about some of these other products that I couldn't talk to you about today.
Yes.
Appointment. Thank you. So that's it. You can be very transparent. Hey, you signed that scope of appointment. There are some things that the government can kind of weird about. They don't want me to talk about in an appointment when I'm talking about government-sponsored plans. But there are things that we need to address. Okay. And happy St. Patrick's Day. Brian! He's harassing me on there. He's harassing me in here. I love it. Brian, thank you for your viewership. Hate is going to hate. All publicity is good publicity. Thank you for adding to our algorithm. I don't know. I love it. Yes. Guys, that is what I have today. The 7 tips to help you with a close. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, threats, or promises, you can put them in the questionnaire box. But if you're watching this on the recorded line, just text me. You can also text me if you're watching it live as well. But text me. Happy to answer back if you any questions. Unless you're just going to be mean, Brian, then please don't. But other than that, if you're going to tell me I'm super smart and super helpful, yes, you can send me that. Any final thoughts? No. Okay. You're here.
No. What were you gonna say about my hair?
I wasn't saying anything about your hair. I said you're here.
I'm here. I heard hair.
Okay.
Amanda said I looked like Goku the other day.
Goku. Who's Goku?
That's pretty Super Saiyan of me.
Who's Goku? Dragon Ball Z. Dragon Ball Z.
It's pretty much the hero. So anyway, I'm pretty much a hero.
Oh, the crazy hair guy.
You don't know Goku? Chat, pull up Goku.
And on that one, I appreciate you guys.
There's Goku.
There's Goku. Oh, I thought that was Pokemon.
Well, close though. See that guy right there?
Why is he blonde?
Well, he's Super Saiyan.
That's when he goes.
Yeah.
Anyways, on that note, guys, until next time, have fun.
Make money.
And give impeccable service. Thanks, y'all.